Hello everyone. Welcome to English through stories and news. The place where you learn English through powerful stories that stay in your heart. Today, I want you to imagine something. A battlefield. Smoke in the air. The ground covered with thousands of lifeless bodies. Women crying. Children searching for their parents. And in the middle of all this destruction, stands the most powerful king in India. He has just won the war. He has power. He has victory. He has an empire. But instead of celebrating, the emperor begins to cry. Because in that moment, he realizes something terrifying. Winning the world is easy, but winning your own heart is the real victory. This is not just the story of a king. This is the story of transformation, guilt, and redemption. This is the story of Ashoka Samrat, the emperor who chose peace. Chapter 1, The Rise of the Maurya Empire. To understand Ashoka, we must travel back in time. More than 2,300 years ago. This was a time when India was not one country. It was divided into many small kingdoms. Each kingdom had its own king, its own army, and its own ambitions. Wars were common. Far in the northwest, a new threat appeared. A young conqueror from Greece, Alexander the Great. In 326 BCE, Alexander entered India. He defeated powerful kings one by one. For the first time, the Indian kingdoms realized something important. Divided, they were weak. Alexander did not stay long. But his invasion changed India forever. Because it created a powerful idea. India needed unity. This idea was born in the mind of a man who would change history. His name was Chanakya. Chanakya was not a king. He was not a warrior. He was a teacher and a brilliant strategist. He had a dream to build a strong empire that could protect India from foreign invasions. But for this dream, he needed a king. Not a prince, not a noble, a warrior with hunger, ambition, and fire. One day he found a young boy playing in the streets. That boy was Chandragupta Maurya. Chanakya trained him for years. He taught him politics, war strategies, leadership, and patience. Together they challenged the mighty Nanda Empire, the most powerful kingdom in India at that time. The journey was long. The battles were difficult. But finally, Chandragupta Maurya became king, and the Maurya Empire was born. Under Chandragupta, the empire expanded rapidly. From Afghanistan to Bengal, from the Himalayas to central India. It became one of the largest empires in the ancient world. Even the Greek ruler Seleucus signed a peace treaty with him. That is how powerful the Maurya Empire had become. After Chandragupta, his son Bindusara became emperor. Bindusara expanded the empire even further south. By this time, the Maurya Empire was enormous, rich, and powerful. Its capital city, Pataliputra, was one of the greatest cities in the world. Wide roads, huge palaces, busy markets, and people from many cultures. This was the empire into which Ashoka was born. A prince of the most powerful dynasty in India. But destiny had a very different plan for him. Chapter 2, The Boy Who Was Feared. Ashoka was born around 304 BCE into the powerful Maurya dynasty. His father was Emperor Bindusara, the ruler of one of the largest empires in the ancient world. Ashoka grew up in the royal palace of Patliputra, surrounded by luxury, soldiers, teachers, and royal traditions. But Ashoka was not the favorite prince. He was not known for beauty or charm. Some historical texts even describe him as rough and aggressive. From a young age, Ashoka showed a very different personality. He was bold. He was fearless. He was intense. While other princes enjoyed palace life, Ashoka was more interested in warfare and strategy. He loved horse riding, sword fighting, and military training. His teachers quickly realized something important. Ashoka was not just strong. He was extremely intelligent. He learned fast. He observed carefully. And he never gave up. But he also had a dangerous quality. He had very little patience and very little mercy. As he grew older, rebellions started happening in different parts of the empire. The Maurya Empire was huge. And keeping control over distant provinces was not easy. Bindusara needed someone strong to handle these rebellions. So he sent Prince Ashoka. Ashoka was appointed as the governor of Takshashila, an important and restless province. Soon after arriving, Ashoka faced his first major rebellion. And he crushed it completely. The rebellion ended quickly. But the way Ashoka handled it shocked many people. He used force. He used strict punishment. He showed no mercy to rebels. Order returned. But fear spread across the region. Ashoka later became governor of Ujjain, another important city and trade center. Once again, he proved himself as a powerful administrator and military leader. He maintained law and order. He protected trade routes. He strengthened the empire's control. But everywhere he went, his reputation followed him. People began to whisper a new name. Chant Ashoka. Ashoka the Fierce. Ashoka the Ruthless. Even inside the royal palace, many people were afraid of him. Some ministers worried about his temper. Some princes saw him as a threat. But Emperor Bindusara saw something else. He saw strength. He saw leadership. He saw a future emperor. No one knew that this feared prince would one day become the symbol of peace. Chapter 3. The Fight for the Throne. As the years passed, the Maurya Empire became stronger and larger. But inside the royal palace of Patliputra, a silent storm was slowly growing. Emperor Bindusara was aging. And one question began to worry everyone. Who would be the next emperor? Bindusara had many sons. Each prince had a different mother, different supporters, and different ambitions. In ancient kingdoms, the death of a king often led to conflict. The Maurya Empire was powerful, but it was not free from palace politics. The prince most people expected to become emperor was Susima, the eldest son. Susima was the crown prince. He had the support of many ministers and nobles. He had grown up as the official heir. Ashoka was very different. He was known for his strength and military success. But many people inside the palace feared him. Some ministers believed Ashoka was too harsh, too aggressive, too unpredictable. They did not want him on the throne. At this time, a major rebellion broke out in Takshashila once again. The region refused to accept Mauryan control. Crown Prince Susima was sent to handle the situation. But the rebellion grew worse. The empire needed a stronger leader. Once again, Ashoka was chosen. When Ashoka arrived in Takshashila, the rebellion ended quickly. His military skills impressed the army and the local people. Soldiers respected him. Commanders trusted him. Ashoka's popularity in the army began to grow rapidly. But inside the palace, this success created jealousy and fear. The other princes began to see Ashoka as a threat. Political groups started forming. Ministers chose sides. Alliances were made secretly. Then came the moment that changed everything. Emperor Bindusara fell seriously ill. The palace atmosphere became tense and uncertain. Everyone knew the struggle for the throne was about to begin. When Bindusara died, the Maurya Empire entered a period of chaos. The fight for power was intense. Princes competed for support. Political conflicts spread across the empire. Historical sources describe this period as violent and unstable. The struggle for the throne lasted for several years. Finally, after a long and difficult conflict, Ashoka emerged as the strongest claimant. Around 268 BCE, Ashoka was crowned emperor of the Maurya Empire. He now ruled an empire that stretched across most of the Indian subcontinent. The feared prince had become the most powerful king in India. But Ashoka still had one dream: to expand the empire even further. There was still one independent kingdom that refused to bow to Mauryan power: Kalinga. And Ashoka decided that Kalinga would be conquered. This decision would soon change his life forever. Chapter 4: The War of Kalinga. After becoming emperor, Ashoka ruled a vast and powerful empire. From the mountains of the north to the rich lands of central India, the Maurya Empire was strong and stable. But there was one kingdom that still remained independent: Kalinga. Kalinga was located on the eastern coast of India, in the region we now call Odisha. It was not a small or weak kingdom. Kalinga was rich in trade. It had busy ports and strong naval power. It controlled important sea routes and trade connections. Kalinga was proud of its independence, and it refused to become part of the Maurya Empire. For Ashoka, this was not just about land. It was about power, security, and prestige. A strong independent kingdom near the empire's borders was seen as a threat. Ashoka made a decision: Kalinga would be conquered. In 261 BCE, the Mauryan army began its march toward Kalinga. This was not a small military campaign. This was one of the largest wars of ancient India. Thousands of soldiers marched together. War elephants moved like mountains across the land. Weapons, supplies, and armies moved for miles. The sound of war drums echoed across the region. But Kalinga did not surrender. The people of Kalinga chose to fight. Soldiers defended their land. Farmers took up weapons. Even ordinary citizens joined the resistance. They chose freedom over surrender. The battle that followed was long and brutal. The Mauryan army was powerful and experienced. But the people of Kalinga fought with courage and determination. The war lasted for days. Swords clashed. Arrows filled the sky. War elephants charged into battle. Villages were destroyed. Fields were burned. Cities were attacked. The land of Kalinga became a battlefield. Finally, the Mauryan army won. Kalinga was defeated. Ashoka had achieved his greatest military victory. But what he saw next changed his life forever. When the war ended, Ashoka visited the battlefield. He expected celebration and victory. Instead, he saw silence. The ground was covered with bodies. Soldiers lay wounded and dying. Families searched for their loved ones. Women cried for their husbands. Children cried for their parents. Homes were destroyed. Villages were gone. Lives were shattered. Historical records say that more than 100,000 people died. 150,000 people were captured. And countless others lost their homes and families. For the first time in his life, Ashoka truly saw the cost of war. This victory did not feel like victory. Standing in the middle of the battlefield, Ashoka realized something deeply painful. He had conquered Kalinga, but he had lost something far greater: his peace. This moment would change the emperor forever. Chapter 5: The Transformation of Ashoka. After the War of Kalinga, Ashoka returned to his palace. The empire celebrated the victory. The army celebrated the victory. The ministers celebrated the victory. But the emperor could not celebrate. The images from the battlefield followed him everywhere. The cries of wounded soldiers. The tears of mothers. The silence of destroyed villages. Ashoka could not forget what he had seen. For many nights, he could not sleep. For the first time in his life, the most powerful emperor in India felt defeated. He began to question himself. What is the value of victory if it brings so much suffering? What is the purpose of power if it destroys so many lives? These questions changed Ashoka. Slowly, he began searching for answers. During this time, Ashoka came in contact with the teachings of Buddhism. Buddhism taught compassion. It taught kindness. It taught respect for all living beings. The teaching spoke about peace, non-violence, and the importance of human life. Ashoka found comfort in these ideas. He realized that real strength is not shown through war. Real strength is shown through compassion. Ashoka made a decision that shocked the entire empire. He decided to give up war. The emperor who once expanded his empire through battles chose a new path, the path of peace. Ashoka embraced Buddhism and began following the principles of Dhamma. Dhamma meant living a life of truth, kindness, and responsibility. Ashoka promised that he would never start another war. Instead of conquering lands, he would now try to win the hearts of people. This was the beginning of a new Ashoka. The cruel conqueror was gone. A compassionate ruler had taken his place. This transformation would soon change the Maurya Empire and influence the world. Chapter 6: The Empire of Peace. After his transformation, Ashoka began changing the Maurya Empire in ways no ruler had done before. Earlier, kings were remembered for wars and conquests. Ashoka wanted to be remembered for something different. He wanted to rule through compassion and justice. Ashoka believed that a good ruler should care for his people, like a father cares for his children. He called this new way of ruling Dhamma. Dhamma was not a new religion. It was a way of living. It taught kindness, honesty, respect, and responsibility. Ashoka wanted every person in his empire to live a moral and peaceful life. He began making many changes across the empire. Hospitals were built for people and animals. Roads were constructed to connect distant regions. Trees were planted along highways to give shade to travelers. Wells were dug so people could have clean water. Rest houses were built for merchants and travelers. The empire became safer and more organized. Ashoka also encouraged religious tolerance. People were free to follow any religion they believed in. Buddhists, Hindus, Jains, and others lived peacefully together. Ashoka believed that respecting all religions was the key to harmony in society. He also reduced hunting and unnecessary killing of animals. He encouraged people to practice kindness toward all living beings. Ashoka wanted his officers and ministers to care about the happiness of the people. He created special officers called Dhamma Mahamatras. Their job was to travel across the empire and make sure people were treated fairly. They helped the poor, the elderly, and those in need. For the first time, the Maurya Empire was not just powerful. It was compassionate. Ashoka had transformed his empire into a kingdom of peace. But his message was not meant only for his people. He wanted the whole world to hear it. Chapter 7: Ashoka spreads his message to the world. Ashoka believed that peace should not remain only inside his empire. He wanted the entire world to hear the message of compassion and non-violence. Instead of sending armies to other lands, Ashoka sent messengers of peace. This was something completely new in history. Kings usually sent soldiers. Ashoka sent teachers. He sent Buddhist monks and scholars to different parts of Asia and beyond. His own son, Mahinda, and his daughter, Sanghamitra, were sent to Sri Lanka. They carried the message of Buddhism and helped establish it there. From India, the message spread to Nepal, Myanmar, Thailand, and Central Asia. Some historians believe that Ashoka even sent envoys to Egypt and Greece. Ashoka wanted people everywhere to learn about kindness, respect, and peaceful living. But Ashoka knew that words alone were not enough. He wanted his message to last forever. So he decided to write his thoughts on rocks and pillars across the empire. Huge stone pillars were built in cities and along important roads. On these pillars, Ashoka carved his teachings. These writings are known today as the Ashokan Edicts. In these messages, Ashoka spoke directly to his people. He encouraged honesty. He encouraged kindness. He encouraged respect for parents, teachers, and elders. He asked people to avoid anger and violence. He asked leaders to serve the people with fairness. For the first time, a king was speaking to his people about morality and compassion. These pillars still stand today. More than 2000 years later, one of the symbols from these pillars became part of modern India, the Ashoka Chakra. Today, it stands proudly at the center of the Indian national flag. Ashoka's message had truly become timeless. But every great story must come to an end. Chapter 8: The Legacy of Ashoka the Great. Ashoka ruled the Maurya Empire for nearly 40 years. During his rule, the empire became one of the most stable and peaceful kingdoms of the ancient world. People could travel safely. Trade flourished. Cities grew. Education and culture developed. Ashoka spent the rest of his life working for the welfare of his people. He no longer wanted to be remembered as a conqueror of lands. He wanted to be remembered as a servant of humanity. As the years passed, Ashoka grew older, but his message continued to spread. Long after his death, Buddhism continued to travel across Asia. His pillars still stood. His teachings still inspired people. Empires rose and fell. Kings came and went. But the story of Ashoka never disappeared. Today, more than 2000 years later, his legacy is still alive. The Ashoka Chakra shines at the center of the Indian flag. His pillars remain symbols of justice and truth. Ashoka is remembered not for the wars he won, but for the war he stopped. He is remembered as a king who realized that the greatest victory is not winning battles. The greatest victory is choosing peace. And that is why history remembers him as Ashoka the Great. And this was the story of Ashoka Samrat, the emperor who chose peace over war. I hope you enjoyed this story and learned something new today. If you want to improve your English through real stories from history and the world, make sure to subscribe to English Through Stories and News. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.